Welcome to Legacy Farm in Virginia. Legacy Farm has been a natural agriculture farm for 10 years. We are a commercial vegetable production farm and also have fruit trees and a small chicken house. This spring and summer we will be doing a natural agriculture training and informational series. Each month we will have a lecture about natural agriculture, including philosophy, production, and marketing information. We will also have guest lecturers who are natural agriculture farmers from across the United States. All of the lectures, additional resource materials, and general production videos that we do at the farm throughout the season will also be available on our website. This first session will be a general background of agriculture changes over the course of human food production, an introduction to sustainable farming systems, and an introduction to natural agriculture. A question and answer segment will be held at the end of the lecture. William Atkin defined agriculture as more than other industries directly linked to human biological well-being. It is the noblest and most ancient of the arts, the very basis for civilization. Changes in agriculture during this century and previous centuries have been enormous. The practice of agriculture worldwide has changed greatly since the beginning of human cultivation of the earth for food, fiber, shelter, and beauty. The current pandemic and climate change challenges have added tremendous burden and opportunities for agricultural production and practices. So how can we determine what a healthy farm and healthy nature relationship is, and how can we support nature? Over 12,000 years, agriculture has continued to evolve. Human food production began with gathering wild plants and grains for food, and interestingly, in the beginning, making of wine and beer. Beginning in the 1600s through the 1800s, natural fertilizers were being added to improve yield, and selection of more productive varieties was done through the harvest of natural selection. In the late 1800s, a wide range of nutrients were also being introduced, including the use of chemical nitrogen after the World War, which was made from gunpowder materials. By the mid-1900s, chemical insecticides, herbicides, and pesticides and fertilizers were being manufactured. Many of the original chemical insecticides and herbicides were developed in the beginning from plant products. Farm equipment has also changed, from hoes and sticks to heavy-duty metal tractors, planters, wagons, etc. Small-scale village or family farms have been changing over this time to become more efficient with mechanization and these types of new inputs to large-scale commercial, chemical, or conventional farms. Agricultural evolution has continued. In the early 1900s, ecologists and naturalists were beginning to see the effects of conventional agriculture and that impact and degradation of natural systems. Humus and organic farming were being put forward in the U.S. and English scientists and private citizens. German philosopher Rudolf Steiner began the biodynamic movement in Germany, and eco-agriculture and permaculture followed as new methods later in the 20th century. The clarion call came from Rachel Carson in her award-winning book, Silent Springs, regarding the devastation from the use of agricultural chemicals and pollution of the environment, especially from the use of DDT, which again was produced after the war, or during and after the war. DDT kills everything that it comes in contact with, and it has a long residual life. So not only does it kill the intended plant, but it also will go up the food chain. J.I. Rodell began the organic movement in the 1940s. It was primarily practiced by home gardeners. Now organic agriculture is one of the primary alternative production systems currently used at all scales, from backyard farmers and gardeners to large-scale industrial use. At the same time that Rodell was establishing organic agriculture, Mokichi Akita in Japan began the natural agricultural movement. Robert Rodell, son of J.I. Rodell, was an early proponent of regenerative agriculture in the 1980s, which is now being revised in the 21st century. So what is the process of doing sustainable agriculture? Sustainable agriculture systems received official USD recognition with the Low Input Sustainable Agriculture Program in 1988, which led to organic certification programs. Moving along the continuum that we had seen from subsistence agriculture to commercial agriculture, which includes many different forms: low input agriculture, organic agriculture, sustainable agriculture, high input agriculture, and natural agriculture. All have production practices that include different levels and types of inputs. All have different levels of impacts on the environment and social components. All come under the definition of sustainable agriculture. All have different components that the farmer must consider in monitoring the system and the impacts thereof. The farmer must also be a production manager, decide on inputs and climatic decisions, management of labor, ecosystem needs outside of the farm, and decision support needs that is needed for marketing and consumer relationships. So it is quite an extensive network of what the farmer is doing, not simply going out to the farm, digging, planting, and harvesting. There are several criteria for consideration if you are talking about a sustainable agricultural system. Sustainable agriculture is an integrated system of plant and animal production practices, having very site-specific application because each location is different from other locations. USDA definition of sustainable agriculture is a food production system that is environmentally, economically, and socially beneficial. We call that the tripartite. Sustainable agriculture considers many concepts, many practices, and many philosophies such as alternative, low input, regenerative, organic, and natural. Other terms that may be used are biodynamic, eco or ecological, biologically sound, and permaculture. All of these can be considered sustainable agriculture if they meet certain criteria. These criteria are shown here, that they satisfy human and fiber needs, enhance environmental quality and the appropriate use of natural resource. They're very efficient with renewable resources, trying to use on-farm inputs as much as possible, and natural cycles that are presented by nature. They are sustainable economically to the farmer to keep them in business, and they enhance the quality of life not only for the farmers, but for society as a whole. Oftentimes people ask what's the difference between natural agriculture and organic agriculture. Since they are very similar in philosophies in the sense that they want to be more natural, more close to the not use of the pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides that conventional and commercial production uses. Here's a long list of all the different practices that may be used by an organic farmer. Organic agriculture uses cultural, biological, and mechanical practices that you see here, which supports the cycles of on-farm and off-farm resources. It promotes an ecological balance. It conserves biodiversity. Regenerative agriculture, which has come back into favor recently, is an agriculture movement since it was initially introduced by Rodell, as I mentioned earlier, in the 1980s. Regenerative agriculture purports to go beyond organic in that it has multiple meanings depending if you are looking at production, marketing, or environmental inputs. Proponents explain regenerative agriculture by striving for lower environmental and social impacts. Production methods can be organic or conventional, but aim to improve the natural system either way, through processes or outcomes that not just apply inputs, but also keep those inputs sustainable and regenerating. So how can we look at and envision a healthy farm? Currently, nature is sending an alarm about how humans farm and how to relate and support nature. Since without nature, we could not survive. Biodiversity loss has been linked and talked about in the media, social media, in the news over this last year, being a link to the rise in global pandemics. Conservation efforts can help to reverse the loss of nature along with the use of sustainable agriculture practices and reforestation. These efforts will enhance ecosystem services, such as a reduction in soil erosion, reduction in water pollution, and clean air, which is provided by nature for human life support. It can help deliver long-term food security, maintaining and improving soil health, which will in turn help to reduce carbon emissions. So we all want to have healthy farms. U.S. and the world agriculture is at a crossroads. The path we've been on with industrial food production is damaging to the air, the water, and the soil. It harms rural communities and limits future productivity. The Healthy Farm, a vision for U.S. agriculture, which was developed by the Union for Concerned Scientists, did a report which describes agroecological farming as follows. The basic principles are sustainability, which has several components. Productivity. A healthy farm produces food in abundance. Economic viability. A healthy farm is a thriving business that provides a good living and fair working conditions for those who work on it, and contributes to local and regional economies. Environmental stewardship. A healthy farm maintains the fertility of the soil and the health of the surrounding landscapes for future generations. To meet these goals, farmers use an appropriate approach to agriculture that focuses on 4 qualities that characterize healthy farms. The first of those is multifunctional, recognizing that productivity is not the farm's sole objective. As well as providing food and other crops and plants and flowers, etc., the farm also performs social, economic, and environmental functions. It is regenerative, using methods that constantly improve the fertility of the soil, foster biodiversity both within and beyond the farm's boundaries, because it's all connected, and recycles essential nutrients. Biodiversity, incorporating a wide variety of crops, choosing appropriate lands to farm, and options for raising livestock and poultry are another criteria. Farms are also interconnected, seeing the farm as an integral part of the landscape that surrounds it, not an isolated production facility. Healthy farm practices. How can farmers turn all this theory into practice? 4 key healthy farm practices have been identified. A landscape approach. On a healthy farm, cultivated and uncultivated areas are maintained as a resource and are considered as connected. They provide a home for beneficial organisms, as well as a buffer to keep farm nutrients from the nearby waterways. Crop diversity and rotation, using long, complex crop rotations and expanding the farm's diversity to include fruits, vegetables, energy crops, perhaps animals, can yield multiple benefits, including healthier soil, reduced need for pesticides, and even higher profits. Incorporating crops with livestock. Well-managed pastures have mature biodiversities and can be, in olden times, the model of incorporating plants and animals together. Use of cover crops. Planting cover crops when soil would otherwise be bare reduces erosion, improves soil fertility, water holding capacity, and keeps weeds under control, which is a major problem no matter what agricultural system you're using. What are the benefits of healthy farm? Together, these principles and practices add up to a healthy farm practices. The benefits are many. For instance, Reduce need for chemical inputs, which is what the goal is. By increasing soil fertility and pest resistance, healthy farms practices enable farmers to greatly reduce their reliance and the cost on chemical fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. Drought resistant. Due to climate change, we are seeing cycles of drought and wetness in extreme conditions. A healthy farm soil is better at retaining water, so the farm is less susceptible to the devastating impacts of drought. Increased biodiversity. A healthy farm is far more welcoming home to pollinators and other beneficial organisms and wildlife than industrial systems. Reduced environmental impact. Common environmental impacts of industrial agriculture, such as nitrogen runoff, toxic pesticides, are greatly reduced on a healthy farm. So how does this lead us to natural agriculture? In the 1930s, a naturalist and philosopher, U.S.Agriculture, envisioned a new type of agriculture that is providing the next generation of agriculture and respect for nature. Natural agriculture is sustainable, it is regenerative, it contributes to environmental health, economic vitality, and social well-being of all. One of his primary teachings was, nature can teach us everything. In practice, the farmer or gardener can plan what they will be doing. Then you step aside, you be still, and you see if what you have done is appropriate for nature. Since natural agriculture farming is not a prescribed system, as with chemical and other conventional farming and other sustainable agriculture practices, each farmer must interact with nature at his or her site, select appropriate regional crops to be grown, and then consider the needs of their consumers. Each farm is unique to its needs and qualities, and each farmer is unique to how he or she farms. What are some of the definitions of natural agriculture? Well, since each farmer, natural agriculture farmer, farms differently because they are at different locations, slightly different environmental conditions, each one has come up with different slight variations on the definition. So here are a few of the farmer definitions that I have collected. They all have common themes, but they describe their farming experience a bit different. Natural agriculture is a holistic way of living in tune with nature. All of them believe that. Natural agriculture is a form of environmentalism. Nature is a model to learn from. It is a healthy farm model, but different with other chemical and alternative systems since it uses no chemical or unnatural inputs. Another definition: natural agriculture farmers grow their crops in harmony with nature, using only sunshine, pure water and soil, locally made vegetable compost, and personal care. Central to the practice is affection and respect for the life energy and spirit that pervades from nature. Natural agriculture produces healthy and nutritious food that contains a powerful essence and life force that connects us with the beauty of nature using sustainable principles. Natural agriculture recognizes and considers the role of thoughts and feelings of the farmers. Natural agriculture farmers apply their attitudes of thankfulness, trust, respect, and love to their farming. The same attitude is recognized by consumers for the health and nutritional benefits they receive and the acknowledgement to the farmer for keeping the world healthy. Natural agriculture is more than a system of food production. It is a way of life that fosters a community between farmer and consumer and encourages a lifestyle in harmony with nature. Natural agriculture associates our human condition to be very important for the sacred response to the natural factors that define our existence. That's a very important statement because we are defined by nature. Nature does not define us. All other agricultural methods look to how to do it. while natural agriculture looks at and focuses on why do we do it. It keeps a deep conscious connection with natural cycles. And last, natural agriculture is a connection to the spirit of the land. It is part of infinite energy or life force that permeates the entire universe and connects all living and natural entities. So is natural agriculture unique? I would say so, and most farmers would say so. The practice of agriculture is the next generation of sustainable farming and gardening. It is unique in that it goes beyond the practices and principles of other alternative and sustainable agriculture systems. It is more holistic. It connects the entire agriculture system between the producer, marketing, and consumer. Most importantly, it brings back to agriculture the recognition and input between natural energy to produce, enhance, and provide vitality to what is produced. This provides a continuous life force between all involved in the cycle of natural agricultural systems. Shume newsletter, January 2021, there's an article about natural agriculture be considered as a form of art, in addition to being a production system. Mesha Sama has said the importance of art and beauty, quote, "The mystical power which springs from the artist's soul passes through the written word, the visual image, the song or dance, and plucks at the soul of all humankind." Farms and gardens can be considered as a work of art, which incorporates crops, flowers, trees, insects, wildlife, and humans, all of which contribute their beauty to the location. Working in this beauty enhances the farmer's and gardener's spirit and pleasure while working with nature. Art touches that part of us that exists above the struggle for survival and beyond human reason. Art and beauty have the power to nourish and refine our souls. They not only bring pleasure, but also profoundly elevate the heart and mind. When touched by beauty and art of the farm, of the garden, we place a higher value on life and all creation. The ugliness of destructive behavior becomes apparent and loses its appeal. Shume encourages everyone to make art and beauty an essential part of their daily life. Thank you for listening and attending our first training session, the introduction to sustainable agriculture and natural agriculture, and we will now have a open question and answer session. I do want to note that the next lecture will be on natural agriculture on May 25th, 2021. It will be presented by Alan Sensei about natural agriculture in Africa. So now we welcome your questions and answers. Thank you.